in high school. So she graduated from Paxton School, and I guess I shouldn't really say high school because it's a school from K through 12, just, one big school. And from there she went to Florida A&M University, and after graduating from Florida A&M University, she traveled around taking advantage of companies flying her to different places before she finally took a job in Akron, Ohio. And she worked in Akron, Ohio, I think for about a year, and then she went to Beaumont, Texas. And when she first went to Beaumont, Texas, it is said that her husband Horace saw her, this was before they got married, walking across the B.F. Goodrich parking lot, and he made a statement, "That's going to be my wife." So it turns out that they did get married, and Debbie already had a child, Kenny, if you all know him, Kaye Milton, Pooey or whatever. And then she and Horace had Aaron and I cannot remember all of that. Anyway, they adopted a girl, Laura. So they are not here with us today. She's been working for B.F. Goodrich, and the name has changed several times. I think it's now Ameripole, what is it? Ameripole Simple. And she also has her own real estate office, and I think she is a licensed broker in the state of Texas. She also has some rental property and all those kinds of good things. She's a member of church where she's very active in Beaumont, Texas. And I'm going to present her today, and she can come to you in her own way and talk about, I guess, maybe the theme or whatever she chooses to talk about. I present to you at this time Debra Kaye Milton Terry.
Good afternoon. I guess first I'll start off next month. Not really. 13 days from now, I will have 25 years with my company. I'm one of the few people my age that you will meet that has never been unemployed or laid off. I'm with the same company that I started out with after I left Florida A&M University. And a couple of weeks ago, the comptroller and all of them came through. We had heard rumors they were going to do a cutback. And they said, if you're going to be on vacation, leave the telephone number where you're going to be. So I was going on vacation to the gospel music workshop. And they said, Debra, you going? I said, yeah, I'm going. I said, they know who they going to cut. So why am I stay here? I said, staying here is not going to help me. So I went on, and they had rumors it was going to be on payday. Nobody knew. Needless to say, I came back in that Tuesday night, my light in the hotel room wasn't blinking. I said, well, I don't know if they did it today or not. So the next morning I called home, and I said, Travis, do a three-way to the plant. So I tried the accountant who sits next to me, and it rang to the guards. I'm like, I still didn't think nothing. So then I tried my assistant, and they say she's away from her desk. So then I tried this other account. And then, needless to say, to find out the news that both positions on both sides of me had been cut. That's why they weren't there. And I'm glad I wasn't there from the point they came and gave me a paycheck and say, you lost your job, and watched them clean out their desks and haul them out the plant. So that's something that I physically don't think I could have mentally handled. To see people who need their jobs and all of this to go. So one of the things in life, what you need to do is part of the speech. I'm sort of going to hop and jump. And I believe in being dual qualified, being dual careered. Because you never can tell. One of those guys were 49 years old. One's 52 years old. And they are asking, where do we go from here? I believe in being qualified. Not everybody should go to, the only difference in a university education is that to the point that if you got a degree, it means somewhere in the world you can get a job. It could be that Glenda know more about accounting and finance than I do. But if Glenda does not have a degree in accounting and finance, she'll never get a chance to show them. And I believe in self-employment, being dual career. You see a lot of people now, approximately 40% of the people work in the career in which they are trained. In order to do that, in 1986, when they announced the merger, I tell anybody, I would have starved to death in 86. I remember in 1986, I called home to tell Mom and Daddy that, hey, they doing a merger. They got an accounting department next door. I'm accounting department. I was the only black accountant. I still am the only black accountant. So they cannot like you. Being black ain't never helped. You know, they can decide, and what you have to do if you're black, you have to be a little bit extra. Yeah, they probably would have cut me out. But when I left my job and went to another position in the company, they filled my position with 2 people. When I came back, it just so happened they cut one of the people out. So therefore, yeah, I'll push to be a little bit better, because if they think they can hire anybody to take my place, they will. But if you go over and beyond, they're going to think twice before they do it. On that, one of the qualities that, when I think of the Milton family, one of the qualities I always tell my friends and all of that there, I say the Milton family, they say, what is your family known for? I say every Milton I know of about it works hard. They have always been gainfully employed, go over and beyond. We have very few thugs and the typical black Americans that ain't laying around, ain't doing nothing in this family. And that is a blessing. You wait until you see them on the street corner. You wait until you stand around and you see them standing out there in the same place. You know, I ride around in Beaumont a bunch. Heathens be out there 5:30 in the morning. They out there 5:30 in the evening still doing nothing. Just standing there doing nothing. And you look at them like, what's wrong with them? They don't look sick to me. They sick up here. But they to the point, and that's one thing, the quality I remember about the Milton family. It didn't matter whether or not we were MDs or whether or not we were maids or what we were. We always worked and worked hard and were the best in our occupations. And I think that's something we should be thankful about. And you know, the family pride is being that, about being somebody. Role models. I'm big into role models. I make people mad all the time about being role models. I don't think that my children should have to look at Oprah Winfrey to look at how a model woman should be. I think they should be able to look at me. I am thankful that I had excellent role model parents. You know, my mother and daddy, they were excellent, and like Maria said a few years ago, if we make nothing with our life, it's not my mom and my daddy's fault. Because they gave us opportunity. And when they could not give us opportunity, my mom and daddy didn't have money to send us to school. All they did was give us love and support and encouragement. So if you can't do nothing else, give people encouragement. And if you can't help them, don't hurt them. You know, let them dream. A person without dreams will perish. And this is one of the things we need to think about. One of the greatest things in the world, what makes a strong individual versus a weak individual, and only the strong survive, is ability to change. And a lot of times, you know, I looked around at the job. I said, well, who do they lead of? The head man's passing around a book now. It's a little silly book. but it's pretty good. He wants us to read Who Moved the Cheese. It is a very good book. I sat up in the doctor's office, and what they were talking about, 4 rats in a maze. Who went there through the maze to eat every day. Okay, they moved the cheese. 2 of them literally starved to death because they kept going to the same place. Look for that cheese. That cheese gonna be here. They kept going to the same place. Whereas the other ones, they adapted and all that. This is the general miss of the story. You know, and he gave us that, I guess, to encourage us, the ones who are there, because it's an emotional thing. Whenever you see people who used to be there, you get used to talking to people 15 years and then all of a sudden they're not there anymore. And this is one of the things, the changes, you know, that's going through. And I'm glad that, and as young adults and as middle-aged adults, I'm glad one of the things that my parents didn't do, they didn't sugarcoat society for me. They let us get a true taste of the real world. A lot of times, you know, you can overprotect someone. You are a crippler. What happens if Derek has to rely on me for everything in the world? What happens if Debbie dies? What happens then? Derek is an invalid. So I'm glad that they gave me a taste of that. And as parents, it's good to help your children, but also give them a taste of reality. Treat them like every day could be your last, because it may be your last. This is one of the things, the strong things about it. I was mentioning to a few people, like they were saying, you know, I moved to Texas and I married someone from Texas. I'm 46 years old. Hamp is 48. Hamp will be 49 in February. I will be 47 next May.
That's within 10 years.
That's within 10 years, close 10 years. And one of the things, like for instance, I've been going through a lot of different things, you know, deaths and all that, etc. But, you know, I look at death as from the point of to be absent from the body is being present with God. So who's better off? So, you know, you have to cope on things like this. And one of the things I look at, I've been married 46 years. I've been married 23 years. And guess what? I'm going through a divorce. Are you kidding? But I don't worry about that. You know what? That's that piece of cheese at the end of the rainbow. You know, people, you know, find it out, they say, poor child. I said, baby, do I look depressed to you? I don't look depressed to you. You know, only man I need is God. And, you know, it's a mutual understanding that we have used our usefulness up. So it's time for both of us to move on to whatever situation like this. I'm just saying this is some of the changes that are going through. And sometimes they happen. You know, I've gone through, in the last year, job changes, death of a parent, lawsuit, divorce, IRS audit, all that. My doctor said, you sure you don't need something to help you out? I'm like, no. He said, you know, you're going through an awful lot. So he gave me some pills. I take them whenever I want to. You know, he gave me some antidepressants and I take them whenever I want to and stuff like this. He said, sometimes you need this extra crutch. And he said, number one, you need God. He said, hopefully you have God. And he said, sometimes you need this extra crutch. But what I'm saying is going through changes, you can go through changes, but don't let the changes change you. So I am still the same person now. Like I say, a little busybody. I'm going to always be a busybody to go about helping people. And I always will do that. And as I close, before y'all think I'm a preaching, I start taking up collection. You as you go about your daily lives, two of my favorite verses in the Bible is seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things will be added. And another one of my favorite verse is, I was young, but now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor is seed begging bread. Those are two of the things that I live by. And I think, I'm going to make it. And the Miltons are survivors. Amen. We can deal with whatever else. I want to thank Glenda and Derek for a beautiful job. Very good job. Well done. I look at Derek, and it's telling my age is that I started Derek out on the piano. And whenever your students get better than the teacher, it's time to chill. And be aside, I look at Derek and I inspired him on. And my youngest son, he's a musician. I think I started him out when he's about a year and a half old. And this joker plays so good, I wouldn't even touch the piano at home unless I know he's gone for a few hours. And I look at those type people, and a lot of times you don't know what effect you're having on people. And like my son now, he desires to get a PhD in music. And it was based on, and he loves gospel music, and it was based on watching Mama. Now, if Mama had been a hooker, and Mama had been a hooker and all this, and a drunkard and all of this, what effect would I have had on him? This is why I'm big about role models. Be the best role model you can. So if your child doesn't turn out the way that you saw, that you think they should, if you sit back and you ask yourself the question, did they get it from me? If they got it from you, your conscience should bother you. But if they didn't, you say, well, I don't know where they got it from. Let us continue to be Miltons, and let us continue to be the light of the world. Thank you.
Are we going to do that?
The panel.
Yes. At this time.
Go.
Okay, well, Juanita Worthy, Winnie McNair, Frederick Milton, anybody else like Martha and Anthony?
Fred.
I know Martha's very young. If you could just give us just a little bit of your memory.
That microphone will come. Eleanor. That microphone will come.
Everybody named that here, please come tell us whatever they remember, whether, somebody was light skinned, I don't even know. What color was Nancy Jane? Was she dark skinned or light skinned?
Was she a big woman or a little woman?
Yeah, I had asked Jesse Ray Eaton too. Jesse Ray Eaton.
Minnie Lee?
No.
You remember Grandma, don't you?
Come on, Fred.
I'm a best
Just gonna sit down, okay?
Jesse
We're
Ray.
gonna ask you questions.
Now, Jesse Ray is a family historian. He can remember what day you were born, what time you were born, and all that.
Hey, Mom.
And him. I'm sure to get this on video because I'm sure all the details that they will be telling us we're not going to remember.
Okay.
Then if you get it on video, we can go back and view that and write it down.
All right.
This all the two? Miss Juanita, now you know I asked you. You're not going to do it?
Mom is gonna go.
You don't have to make a speech or nothing. It's just going to be a general
Well, just go up there and
conversation.
sit and give them support. You and Minnie go up there and sit and give them support.
Everybody
Right, just go up there and give them support. right. And Martha Day was here. She.
I said Hedge and Matt.
Martha Day.
Oh, y'all are older kids.
Okay, and you know, just start talking to us.
So we got one more baby
All
chair.
this wisdom up here, all this wisdom.
We got one more baby chair. Can we get some else?
These guys with me.
So without any further delay, whoever wants to come and help will be fine. Let me get started because I need to leave. And I hope the other panel will accept my apology, but I know they'll handle most of the stuff that I don't remember. And I'll just say something very briefly because I had a different perspective than many of the people that are going to be speaking later because I got most of my information from them. And I got my guidance from Minnie Lee, and she understands, right? And she teaches me about it all the time, and I appreciate it. But let me say, since we lived in Warrington, part of Pensacola, and we used to travel to Flowers View when we were little children, we'd go there for the summer, we had a different perspective. But I do remember my grandfather, Milton. I do remember my grandmother, Nancy. I do remember my great-grandmother, Martha. I heard she lived to be about 106 years old. But one of the things that stands out in my memory is the way grandfather Milton taught us. He used to tease us all the time, especially out to me, because she tried to argue with him and tried to clear the way he said her name, and the more she tried to clear him up on the way he pronounced her name, the words he'd give her name and get her upset. He also teased me a lot because he called me Reverend White, who was my grandfather on my mother's side. He teased me about that all the time. But early in life, they let me know who I was supposed to be and who I was, and I learned the way to feel good about myself very early because I got a lot of encouragement, got a lot of love from all the family, got a lot of nurture from Minnie Lee when I was in that vicinity, got protected by Minnie Lee. And I really, that stayed in my mind. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind mostly is that they tried to make me work. And Debbie just mentioned that we're all hard workers. But when I was little, I like to choose the kind of work I did. Because Daddy was a laborer during that time. He used to cut yards, and he finally got a good job and did our job, and finally got a chance to go to the neighbor yard, and that's he and the rest of them got along pretty good after that with civil service. But during those days, we were little, they'd take us on a truck, I believe, and go to various farms and pick cotton and pick berries and things of that sort. I didn't like to do that. The cotton would stick in my hand, and I didn't like that. And it was a big bag you had to drag along those hot roads. I didn't like the heat. And I refused to do it, even being a little boy. You know, and during that time, you didn't say what you're going to do to your grandparents or your parents, or they'd spank you. But Dad had taught me to be so resistant to what I didn't like. And I got beaten into it because I always had a thing of my own about what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do, until I would kind of resist a lot of things that happened. So I got beaten all the time. Every day, every 4 or 5 times I get beaten because they were trying to change me around. That happened until I left home at 17, by the way. So I was glad to do it because this was I was afraid to drunk. But the most serious part is when I decided on a job, after I got through high school, I looked around a lot. Dad would take me around and show me different things. I knew that it was too hot for me to work in the field. I didn't like working in the field. I knew I didn't like being cold. I didn't like getting wet in the rain. I didn't like that hot sun because it did a lot of things too, including burning your skin. At that time, I didn't know it would give you cancer. But later on, I learned that too. So I was very pleased to know that I had sense enough not to be doing a lot of those things that other people did to hurt themselves. And I tried to stay healthy as a result of that. But the results, the last part that reminds me is that I used to love my friends and family so much that I didn't fight that much. You know, I didn't want to fight my friends and fight back. One day I had an incident, and my daddy told me, he said, well, I tell you what, the very next time you come to this house and you refuse to fight anybody who fights you because they're your friends or not, say, I'm going to beat you up myself. So he made that threat. From that day forward, I was a little boy, then about 12, 13 years old, I guess, something like that. I've been a fighter. I don't take any guff from anybody. I try to treat people right, but nobody walks over me. And I don't care. They say a coward will die many times, but a brave man only dies once. I live by that code, and I think it's served me well. And I hope I leave one thing with the students or with young children here today is that they got to learn early who they are. They got to decide what kind of life you want to live. And it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, but I finally got the life I wanted to live, and I'm really enjoying it immensely. And for those of you who helped me get to where I am, my whole family, my sisters, Kaye looked after us a lot, and we had a little squabble, but, you know, we always got along one way or the other. If we did, Mom and Dad would take care of it at the end. I also thank Melody for helping, and all the rest of my cousins, Jesse Ray, Uncle Huey, and one or two others come by and visit with us when we were little children, so they lived with us from time to time. So I got a chance to talk with Jesse Ray a lot when I was a little boy, and of course Uncle Huey when I was a little boy. And I also spent a lot of time with Uncle Players, who was always a little guy, but he had a big heart and a big voice, and he was tough. He was tough as a little man I was saw in my life next to Daddy. And I found that in hanging around with those guys and listening to them all and listening to them make points, they always wanted to discuss things and had facts that they'd back it up with. They'd go to the dictionary, they'd go to books they learned, and they'd argue till they get blue in the face. Because they always wanted to prove they were right. So I want you to understand that they had a good point, because we're like that now. I know when I reach a fact, I don't like to hear, we tolerate a lot of ignorance. We tolerate mediocrity, okay, that's okay, but I want to know what the facts are, and then I argue from a factual point. I make administrative decisions from decisions that are based on facts and experience. And if you do it that way, you can usually do real well. And like Debra said, most of us have been very fortunate in staying healthy enough to know what we're about, get a chance to get an education about whatever it means. I was in service and got mine, and then came back and went to the GI Bill and all those kind of things that worked. But we all who were fortunate to get a good education, I encourage those of you who got one, encourage your children to get one, and those little children who need an education, be sure to get all they can, because the world is getting tougher and meaner, and we got to find a way to survive. I think I'll stop right here, because I want to give you other panelists a lot of chance to speak, but I will have to leave. I want to let you know the fact that I truly enjoy the family, and the values and the priorities that my parents and all of you helped me develop, I truly appreciate. And I got a lot of help on the way. There are people who did a lot of favors for me that I can never pay back, but I pay back by helping other people. I try to help students go to school. I try to guide and instruct them to do the things that's going to be helpful to them, get a good value system, as well as learn how to deal with their priorities, and they'll do well in this world, because it's a very competitive world. We need to learn to work together. So I also want to applaud Hamp and the rest of them who brought their family together and made sure that we meet at least once a year and try hard to come together with some productive things. Jesse Ray can tell you a whole history about things that are going on. I'm counting on him and Winnie and Juanita and others to do that. We call it net. But we want to be sure that all of you understand that we really love and care for you, and we care for each other, and we'll do our best to assist you. My last point I made last year was, I didn't know why I chose the profession I did. But I had a teacher as a grandfather on my father's side, and a teacher and a preacher as my grandfather on my mother's side. So that was in my blood, in my genes. I like talking and helping people. I like trying to provide enlightenment for them. I know Jesse Ray does the same, so I will leave with him, because he has been the ideal teacher over a number of years, and I hope that you all enjoy what he says. Thank you very much.
Well, old boys are kind of bad, but anyway, I would like to say that what Fred said, all of it is true.